Okay. In one moment. Nothing else. Okay. We're good. Thanks. Yes.
Good evening and welcome to this installment of the Port of Cascade Locks Port Commission meeting. We will start with the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
President Lorang, Vice President Clute, Commissioner Nance, Commissioner Peterson, Commissioner Dodd.
Here. Applications, additions and changes to the agenda.
2A will be stricken from the agenda tonight. We will have that for the commission at the next meeting.
All right. All right. A business action item. Approve update to port funded economic grant program. I believe that's first.
Yes, thank you, President Lorang. Thank you, commissioners. What we have before you today is a draft set of questions for the online application for the port's economic development grant program, the final draft of the program guidelines, and also draft template grant agreement for your review and approval. This is following the September 17th approval of the guidelines and the September 6th, I think it was, approval of the IGA with MCED to administer the grant program. So these are really the last two things we need you to approve and launch applications. We will have you approve one more form, which will be the reporting form that will have all the questions that a successful applicant will need to answer in order to report to you on the success or failure of their project. So I don't know if you want me to lead you through these documents. I'm assuming you've seen them. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to work through those. And
I've already read them online.
okay.
Oh
no. No. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay, thank you. 202 strike. One discussion we did want to have, and you can give us pretty general feedback unless you feel strongly about weight that should be given to a specific question. We wanted to get basically, you know, if the total score is 100, you know, what are your top 3 to 5 criteria that you would like to weight most heavily for the scoring of the application? We have a few narrative fields that folks will be filling out the project details about their application. You know, many of these questions are sort of yes, no, multiple choice questions, but there are some essay questions. And those are mostly on page 6. After we ask them where and what is the timeline of their project, we ask them to select which of our priorities their project applies to, and the priorities that you've established are downtown revitalization, public safety, or enhanced tourism and recreation. Folks will be able to select more than one of those. We ask them to describe the community or business need or problem that their project will address. Basically answering the question is, why is your project needed by the broader community? We ask them to explain how their project will solve that problem. We ask them to specifically state how their project aligns with the goals and objectives of our strategic business plan. This is a really important component of each application that I think should be weighed pretty heavily. We do ask if the project will result in the creation of new jobs or how to maintain current jobs, and that's what we do for our company. We ask them to describe how they'll know if they're successful. What is their measurable outcomes that will result from their projects? We did deal with the concerns about conflict by asking if there are any current board employees, commissioners involved in their project and how. Then if the answer is yes, we should just state reminder that it doesn't disqualify an applicant, it just changes the way the commission will be meeting when we evaluate these applications for approval. We ask for experience. Has your organization managed or completed projects of a similar scale or scope? Past, please describe. We asked about how their project will be sustained once the grant funding is fully expended. We asked them to talk about risks or challenges to the success of their project and what's their plan for handling those risks. We asked for an environmental impact, positive or negative, of their project and how they would address that. And we asked for volunteer buy-in and how volunteers are contributing to the project or not. So those are things that we'd like to know, out of that set of 14 questions, is there anything, I mentioned the question number 5 is really, really critical. It's sort of whether or not a project is fundable or not. You have to tie it to the strategic and goals and objectives. But are there any others that to you want to see an application really strongly perform, where we should make it, pretty heavily weighted on the scoring criteria sheet?
I feel like as a board, if our objective is business growth, I feel like it's pretty important.
Yeah, okay. The creation of new jobs, retention of current jobs. Yep, okay.
Number 7 is important. It's part of your strategy plan, what you expect that to be funded, executing your plan.
Yeah.
Just like, what is your impact?
Yeah. And for that question, I think it's always best practice. Measurable. You don't want to say, everybody will feel better about Cascade Lock if I do this or that. Really measurable data. It's something we can measure, a third party neutral person could verify.
And then they within part of their either that can be the exact
Question.
proof.
Exactly, right.
I would say that might be a hard one to measure, because the board does things all the time. Are we getting measurable results as part of a bigger plan,
Right.
And I would say some of these projects may be part of the overall plan that may not in itself have a measurable result, but when you put them all together,
Yeah.
then it will,
But and to your point, a lot of these feel like they could be answered subjectively, whereas if we have a measurable that is a objective goal that we can measure. And it feels like we talked about this. And this one is that so
It's a nice little push to make someone actually try to think of a way to measure it, and these could be customer comment cards even, that you do some sort of improvement to your building. Yes, it looks better, but how do you move that from subjective to objective? And maybe that's what you do, is you do a comment card, or you do a wall, and how many people responded favorably to a survey or something like this. It's trying to get some data.
downtown. Automatic, not necessarily measurable.
Right.
Other than it makes it down.
Yeah. But it's always great to try to.
Some of them say paintings on the walls, murals in the dowels, for the,
Yeah.
really adds to the appeal of the community.
Yeah.
to the generation plan, if it is something like a mural or something aesthetic, it could be as simple as like literally having some sort of survey or asking.
Yeah.
What do you think about before, what do you think about after?
And that's your miserable data there. And it could be very, very modest, but at least we tried to, you know, find something, you know, that sort of thing.
Well, then, good question.
So it's kind of like 5 to 6. Or
They're pretty,
depending on. Should be there. Even everything else.
that's missing that you want to.
Yeah.
Right, right,
Just asking
yeah,
in another more succinct way because it's reflect on.
yeah. My dream applicant, you know, this is a strategy.
I were.
Towards goal G, bullet number 3 will be done with my project, you know, and that's what we're looking for. That would be like an A plus response, but you know, somewhere along the, you know, shades of gray of that, you know, it'd be nice to have somebody really paying attention to the plan and finding their place in the plan and actually being able to say, yes, and I'll be able to give you measurable benefits to your plan in XYZ data that I'll provide to you as part of my project. It's really great.
Something here that might be interesting is, I don't know if it's, we call that specifically here would be long lasting impact. Because obviously there's certain things that it's good for this year and then it's gone.
Right.
Now,
And we touch on
I
that.
would tend to go for something that had long lasting.
I know, when we were doing the Arts Council. Indigenous tribes and what, it was great, you know, but it was a one-time, one shot, we're gonna do a, you know, we're gonna do a video show and that's it.
Right.
Nice extended, there's no long lasting, and I always try to be enforced. Like, murals or downtown projects, improvement projects, that sort of thing, we're both art and we're long lasting.
So that might fit maybe after question number 11, where we ask people to talk about how their project will be sustained after the grant funding is expended. You could ask another question that says, you know, how will the impacts of your project, how long lasting will they be for the community, even after you're maybe not working on them anymore, or something like that. Okay. And then we go through the exercise of the project budget information. One we haven't discussed for the match that's required. Regardless of the size of a grant, we're requiring a 20% match. For small grants up to $10,000, we're allowing folks to do that as an in-kind contribution. So that could be volunteer labor that has to be tracked and reported, donation of equipment, supplies, things like that all have to be tracked for a cash value, but we're accepting that for the small grants. Usually when somebody has, you know, 50 volunteers and they're ready to show up and they're donating the equipment, I mean, that of course is hugely valuable. So it's not something that generally is scored lower than a cash match, but it's a question to ask the commission. Do you want to distinguish? Do you want to rate a project higher that has an all cash match? Or do you want to rate a project higher that has an all in kind match? Or do you want to just say, you know, there are equal weight, the type of match that they have? And there's also the option of having a match of another grant that, you know, maybe the project budget is more than what they're asking for our grant, but the grant is matched by another. You know, do you want to distinguish the types of grant in the scoring, or just kind of accept, you know, once they've met their minimum threshold of a 20% match in whatever form it takes, then they're good to go and not
I think that
necessarily.
would be kind of a little bit weighted based on the strength of the first part of their application.
Okay.
Certainly, if they got a super strong thing that they're gonna be doing, mosaics, murals, something with long lasting value that is great contribution to the community, then I would say, you know, you can be a little more flexible. Is it all in kind? Is it, has it got some money in it or whatever? But I think that would be kind of the two go hand in hand a little bit.
Okay.
kind of with telling the president if I took people.
Yeah.
There's certain, my mind is spinning as it relates to different types of grants we might see. And I see some that are more geared towards community involvement, which would be really great to see now, a huge outpouring of volunteers coming out and put a lot of hours on it, whether there be other grants and other projects. We'll love to have that opportunity. Yeah, I mean, if you're, people.
Yeah.
If it's business, it's reading stuff, probably see more cash in hand where they're actually putting out some actual money into it as well, because as you said, it's more, they have measurable, also, be able to see a measurable difference as far as possibly revenue or things like that, if they're doing upgrades to the building or their business, that sort of thing. So, you know, you certainly don't want to have more cash, skin in the game when it comes to something like that.
Yeah, I think with the add-on to both of these is like one of the, I think one of the benefits, is probably one of the things we might see more from, especially this slower tier one, would be new start businesses, people who really getting started. And a lot of them may not have a lot of that, the minimum match. So I would hate to basically say no because that.
Okay.
So I think equals.
Equal.
Fine.
Okay.
Starting businesses, sweat equity.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, all that said, you know, we're not in making salaries or overhead costs and eligible expense. So, you know, for a private business, your own sweat equity wouldn't be eligible, but you know, if you're organizing an event and you have 50 volunteers showing up, their sweat equity certainly, you know, would.
And to that point, that is, if it can be used for salaries, does that make the question of, is it creating new jobs? Is that?
I don't think so. You know, I think, trying to think of how to articulate it. A project that's, going to create jobs doesn't, what we're funding is the project, not the jobs. If that's a way, I guess that's one way to put it. So if a local business is applying for $5,000, for example, to redo their website, they would want to demonstrate that a new website would reach new markets that would help, you know, strengthen their business in XYZ ways, and that would result in hopefully the creation of a new job by increased sales. But the grant isn't to pay that person's salary of the new job. It's just the project. No, because the contract, so if a community wants to, let's say a nonprofit wants to sponsor a mural project. That's different than saying, I want to apply for my executive director's salary.
Gotcha.
You know, so the project can have labor costs within it, but it's just for, you know, closed-ended project that has a start date and an end date, and it's not an ongoing salary expense. But yeah, it gets confusing. I don't know if I'm making it any clearer. Yeah. I think that'll be one of the service agreement.
Okay. So make sure we're not excluding them.
But the museum, for example, the museum could use the grant program to fund an event. But when it's talking about ongoing operating expenses, that's really more of like an agreement just between the port and the museum on providing a service through, you know, the tourism function, separate. Yeah. And that's up to you guys to set that budget. Yeah. Any other questions?
fine work on this project.
The grant, contract template is, there's one for each level. Those are built on a plate model. They have both legal review. Little grant agreement, I'm sure Tommy, for at least for the first year, will be looking at making sure that everything award a grant, but if you have any thoughts about either of these documents after the meeting, just shoot me an email. I'm going to be sending these to Jessica, and we'll start building the processes within MCAD's infrastructure and hopefully move forward with a call for applications soon.
Do we need to do a motion on any of these?
The
Yeah.
modifications too, there's a motion,
Yeah.
I was wondering if you mentioned, very discussion. Basically, different things. They want to move.
They want- Yeah.
We'll go back and review the tape and make sure that it goes correct. But then we can do the second.
I make a motion to approve the Port Economic Development Grant Program grant application questions as amended for the commission discussion, subject to legal review and approval of the executive director.
All right. Second. Both grant program and the, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? As unanimous.
And did you want to do a separate motion for the contract? Or is that wrapped in there too? Wrapped in there too, okay.
Okay.
This is part of the application.
Okay,
Let's see what it says.
I've got them as two separate motions, but
Oh, you're right. You're right, so we don't have the contract. So
I make a motion to approve the Port Economic Development Grant Program grant agreement contract template, subject to legal review and approval of the executive directors.
Right. So who's gonna call it?
Matt.
Okay.
And we approve the Port Economic Development Grant Program agreement. In favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously.
Thanks very much.
Fantastic work on this matter.
Thank you.
All right. Approve bridge to the garden and annual celebration recommendation.
So the Brits, the guys in San Diego recommended monthly, we go through different ideas and different conversations about how we see that event, how they see that event, what they'd like to be, starting to lock in on the dates and some other things. Something that was floated out there was the idea of having some events. Generally, he knows that he will. Said no, he would be willing to come out of retirement to do that. We don't have all of the details on it and what it would mean in terms of having us, we can use, so there's just some details that we would still need to work out. And it's going to be substantially more expensive than me getting the grant out of poster. We can, it'll be really cheap, we can put a poster and.
Or an AI booster.
Right. So.
Yeah.
We certainly know that this is going to be at the top end of what we would be willing to do for a poster. But we also know that it's a pretty impressive and special thing to have him do another one of these, art pieces.
Along with that, is there any, I'm assuming, is he giving up the copyright as far as are we going to be able to then sell the posters and or is there some agreement?
And I think
Is he different?
that's really where we got into with this $2,500 to $3,000 is, hey, it's gonna be expensive. We want to start having these conversations, right? Like right out the gate, are we interested in doing this? And I think if there's enough interest from this commission to say, yeah, let's go ahead and move forward with that, then we can get into the details of it.
I don't know if everybody's familiar with Paul Lindquist, but in terms of finishing the word and all of the all over the Northwest. He's pretty renowned for the style of his work and very collectible. And oftentimes limited editions, that sort of thing. I was actually a little bit surprised that it was as affordable as it was. I had no clue, but yeah, he's well known, and every bit is, I think it's a worthy project.
If nothing else, if we don't get the copyright, if we don't get it still is a really impressive piece of artwork that will hang all over the Pacific Northwest and be a remembrance of this occasion. And generally kind of a big deal. And it will be the poster that we use, without a doubt. It will be what we use on all of our advertising. It will be what we use on promotion. What it means after the fact,
Right.
that still needs to be discussed. Currently, the museum sells coffee cups and bottle openers and different stuff with his images on them, but he's getting paid on all
Like
those
the
things.
t-shirts available for some of the local businesses.
He's getting paid on all those images. The port is not with our bridge, not with the stern bidder, not with any of those things. I can't say for a fact that we will get this image that he's going to create. But that we will have the right to use it as a poster for sure.
Yeah, do we need to vote on this, or are we okay with stuff? Are you still pushing?
Yeah, I think generally we're okay with that to do it back. I think there's still more work to be done, right? It's didn't want right away somebody to go, no, this is going to make something. Sounds like we're still interested in deciding. Keep the conversation. I know more details.
So now that we have $10,000 still unspent in our budget for the Bridge of Thoughts celebration, this would be a chunk out of it, but for just preliminary preparations, and we expect to get $10,000 for 2 more years before we are complete. So.
I think it's kind of a no-brainer. It's got the recognition. This is a very important event. Will be the remaining 100-year-old bridge in the state. Considered very special by the state agency. So it's a special time. I think it's part of the special artist fact.
It's going to be a flexible piece too, because there's many people that have this entire collection of the Pacific Northwest, and now there's a new one. So
Durability is just already near the fashion.
I think that's some of the questions we'll have to.
Flag hanging from our light post.
Yeah, I think that's some of the question that we'll have to ask. Potentially for that day, we get to use it in any sort of fashion that we say necessary, like flags and some of the
I don't think
colors, like
$3,000
sports.
to give up the copyright for it.
Yes, I agree.
It's still a consideration.
Okay.
All that.
Yeah, I think that we need to hash out those details. Like, I would be interested in saying yes to the not to exceed, but I would want it to include some of the stuff like that we may want to do for this event.
And it could be something that for that day we have that, right? So that we can sell, maybe that day we get to sell t-shirts with that image on it. Maybe that day we get to have some prints available for purchase. Maybe that day he's there signing prints. And those things we haven't built to make money on. But then after it's over, his website.
It's a cool idea, but hanging off the light poles and stuff throughout the year, just to kind of drum up.
That'd be really cool.
So, yeah, I think we can have further discussions with him. I think we're all interested in that together, and the event is a big enough deal that he's going to come out of retirement for it. So we'll do some more work on that. We'll come back with some more information. Then cool. Meetings. I like that you have these bathroom consensus. Yeah, Mike, this is thank you.
Approve Bridge of God Centennial Celebration Recommendation to seek community input regarding the Bridge of God mural.
We have the Bridge of God mural that's painted down in Bridge of God in this state park down there. State park, right? Yeah, state park. The gentleman who painted it, has passed away. And so now there's some question about whether or not we can do a restoration to that. It needs some work, or if we're ready to move on to a different mural. We would like to reach out to the community and get their feedback on it. at one point in time, Brittany had some discussions with, the family about the mural. And the understanding was is that they were sort of either way on it, like if they didn't have a big attachment to it, and they understood that sometimes art runs its course. And that has had a tough life under there as conditions. But I think if we reach out to the community and say, hey, is this staple in our community, or are we looking to maybe come up with something else? But we wanted to reach out to the community, the bridge committee wanted to reach out to and do a survey and get that feedback. But before they did, I wanted to have this council, or this commission weigh in on that. That's something we want to do. We want to reach out to the community. We really want to focus on a restoration. We really want to focus on something new. We want to keep that something that the bridge committee just works on themselves, get any feedback or thoughts on that.
There are those who probably think that's a local version of the Sistine Chapel, so we probably better get input.
In addition, I agree with getting input from the community. Bigger question is, whatever direction we go, what's the budget impact?
Yes, I think that's gonna.
I hate to get people all fired up about it for us then to go, well, we're not gonna do anything. It's
Sure. So, I mean, at this point, the question is whether or not we want to restore it, or we want to go with it. Once we have that sort of direction, we'll look at cost. I don't want to say that we want to go with the new one.
Could be part of
I think we could be in a slippery slope and say, hey, we don't want to restore this one because it's cheaper to do a new one, especially if the community really comes out for a restoration project. So I think we kind of go into this a little bit, not necessarily knowing the costs on it, just understanding what the want is from the community, and then we'll decide if it's something.
How are we gonna assess the want?
I will do a survey on Facebook. That's about the best option that I can provide. We can do public comments here.
We do postcards.
We could do a postcard mailer. We could. There's different.
And sometimes the hesitation is only Facebook.
Look at that.
Yeah.
I get education.
And the other thing was, what's triggering us? In other words, if we didn't have money, we didn't want to spend money on that. Like, oh, is there an outcry to have it refreshed on or?
I think the outcry is, I think it's part of the, these as members of the committee, correct me if I missaid here. I think generally it was something that was viewed as being a part of that celebration, something that would commemorate that date, something that needs to happen. As long as I've been here, I've never really had any. You guys really need to fix that. When I'm down there, I don't get any. This sure could be fixed up, but there hasn't been a public outcry to fix it.
Okay. It's one of the few opportunities of this community for the public to get involved. And the fact that it's becoming a more high traffic area. Increased bike flow and the main interest in the town. I think it's helpful for you. I think the current voices and the media voices to give, survey into what we should have on there.
I think it's noteworthy that there's a lot of places in town that have been tagged and sprayed. That's not one of them. So, it's sacred ground, I think.
So, this getting that public feedback is not been kind of all option two. But also just saying, I don't think we're interested in it. We want to also an option two. It's like we're gonna do anything, let's restore what we've got. Beautiful debate, and we like it, all the things Roger said, tell us the story, solutions to it. Not broke, don't fix it, let's repair it, right? That's an option two. There could be a certain amount of the community not appreciating us wanting to put something new up. I think that's the risk and the reason that we're evaluating right now whether or not we can go out and do that.
Maybe in the assessment, we have to give 3 options. And redo what we have, or fix it new. Might be a great way to get the feedback.
So I guess to Albert's point, we'd be looking at a mailer. We will end up running into pushback if our only option is to go on Facebook. A lot of folks don't have Facebook, a lot of people don't use Facebook, a lot of people wouldn't be comfortable voicing whether their opinion is on Facebook. Giving that their alternative options for people. It could be a mailer, could be
the account.
I mean, a mailer would probably be a mailer along with Facebook is probably about as equal as we can do, reaching out to as many folks as possible.
There's websites like survey, maybe, if we think.
You are earlier to expand more on the design questions.
Sure.
For some, you know. Suggestion.
I don't think we need to get all fancy or spend a lot of money on this either. Just trying to get public opinion. So,
I can't imagine us not doing anything considering. You know, it's a lot to learn, changing around, there's the company. Just.
I feel like if we just do survey monkey, put it on Facebook, put it on our website for like a 7 at a time. You did it on. I feel like no one is probably going
We can run
Yeah, I think, something.
something that would be helpful.
Or an idea, yeah, postcards. Maybe you guys can put one. Now,
That's why I wrote.
Two things on it, put them if you are. Let us know. What do you think about that? So, Guys, well, and get 2 things, first of all, we're promoting.
I want to say like, put that people out there have smartphones, so. Thinking of mobile friendly, just do it from your phone.
And you are.
No, really, this is the work that the, Bridges and Bridges Centennial does. So they get you guys' feedback and they go back and figure out a solution how to do this. Right, so yes, we want community feedback. Here's our concerns. We need to be able to reach out to as many people as possible. We need to be cognizant of the fact that not everybody uses the internet. These folks are actually on it, they're already coming up with ideas on how to solve it. So I think we just go back to them and say, yeah, we definitely want feedback and please be cognizant.
I think it's a great idea that like to have it be twofold, so this is going to be happening, Centennial happening. And we are considering this as part of that celebration. What are your thoughts?
And more than we can do that for a lot of different activities, the more the Centennial event promoted.
Yeah, agree.
All right, sounds good. We'll take that feedback to the others. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Yes. All right.
Which allows the commission to meet in executive session to conduct deliberations with persons designated by the governing body to negotiate real property transactions. Representatives of the staff will be allowed to attend the session. Members of the audience are asked to be. Representatives of the news media are specifically directed not to report on or otherwise disclose any of the deliberations or anything said about the subject during the executive session. To state the general subject of the session as previously announced. No decision may be made in executive session. At the end of the executive session, we will return to open session and welcome the audience back into the room. So we're going to take a very short recess and bid you all good night and do our thing. Welcome back, everybody. We are going to move to the executive director's report.
I'll take operations tonight. Parker is out leaving home with his wife, I wish her get well. Replace some, bridge sprinters on the bridge, and an opportunity to check those out, carry any with loan, they're very fast.
What?
One of the roads faster than the always been, we got new ones that super fast, they had. The new overlay has been done down by House 3. I don't know if you had a chance yet to go check it out by Gorge New Club, but there's a rough little pothole that went, it was a couple years ago when we dug the water pipes out from House 3. That overlay was supposed to be completed last year. We get a little further along our audits. We did any major improvements, overlays, one of them. So I'm glad to have that done. It's also paved up to where the ramp is to House 3. It looks really good, but you can't check it out. And I've been super happy with it. She's been upset about that part of the parking lot for a while. Right. Campground credit report. So there was a competing complaints out at the marina that milk oil has taken over sort of at the entry. We always spray for it every year by beach, well, not everybody spray for it by beach, and we spray down into the marina itself. But right at the entryway, it kind of clogged that up in a pretty substantial way. We received an email from a tenant where their boat had gotten stuck in, the props had gotten stuck. So I reached out to Jetty Light that has a diver that's on staff. And was like, hey, is this something you guys would be able to take care of for us? So we hired Jetty Light to maintain that entryway because they have somebody who can dive local. It's a very quick, fast, cheap solution. So we were able to clean that up
Use the open gate, right?
Yeah, so we're working, I mean, I kind of get the details on the sign.
Yeah, so when Parker and the crew got up to look at the housing that would have held the replacement sign, they found some pretty concerning structural weaknesses in the housing. There was only one point of contact on each side of this very long, so one gust of wind, he was really concerned about it. So we sort of brainstormed as a crew and realized with our project to create a new sign before the centennial, we're going to need to take that housing wasn't going to work. So let's remove it, which they were able to do with a brief overnight closure. And we're looking for an alternate location on the bridge itself. For the welcome to Washington, welcome to Oregon signs will probably be on an overhead truss member of the bridge until we have our new monument sign. So it was an on-the-fly decision based on a safety concern.
Signs that are all beat up looking.
Yes, that next time you drive across the ridge, there's nothing overhead anymore. The posts are still there. They'll probably be removed as part of our replacement project. But there's no overhead span anymore. Up on the post is a PCT trail sign. There's of course the speed limit signs and the sign for the freeway. But that box that was over both lanes is removed because it was in very bad shape. So.
I think, regarding, in the future designs of the sign, are they coming the southern side of the bridge, in the event that someday they might have a pass by lane for the faster traffic?
No, probably not. We probably should. I think that's a pretty good point. I hope that we would have thought of that, but yeah, it's definitely something. Yeah.
And people make.
Good point. I don't think it's something that we had thought of yet, but good point.
Do we have room for a reason?
there are some thoughts that have been around, running people who are attached down through Toll House Park down there. And you can go down to Toll House Park and you can pop back up. But somehow, if you're breezed by, you can sit on through. If you're not, you can go down to the park. It would require moving the whole booth. I've seen a complete remaster, replanning of that entire approach. It was $7 million like 7 years ago. 7 years ago. Okay, so who knows? But it's really cool, and it still doesn't quite get you to a breeze by type lane. We just don't have the runway to do it. You can do it
on both sides.
You know, right? You can do it on this side, you can't do it on the wrong side. Not exactly, but I have seen the redesign of that. Supposed to don't want to have that.
Seems like roundabouts, it's all the issues in the campus, which we will on the Washington side, but on the Oregon side, it requires some engineering.
Yeah, I think in the 20th or 40 year, there's still here for different provision, likely you see a roundabout out there at 14 on 14 for that intersection. Sorry, we're still finishing up Parker. Thinking, he's working on hiring a new full-time toll collector. He's going through the process on that. So we'll be excited to get a toll taker. Scheduling the bridge approach welding. We were up on the bridge today to get some legislative aids on the crossing. We'll walk on the floor, so we're going to walk on it. Definitely can see the spot right where the metal deck starts. There's a spot on there that temporary it breaks. We love it. It breaks. We love it. Just kind of looking at the cracks that happen along. It looks like we're doing pretty good there. It looks to be minimal, but that one spot right where the deck starts, it's from the so we'll get that scheduled and continue to do that welding project. I'm just gonna keep talking.
Okay,
I'm next, Michael. I did a lot of travel and conferences for the last couple of weeks. I think maybe I'll hold back on that because we do state commissioners to both of those. So let you guys give some feedback on those as well. So go ahead, Jim.
Okay. Just thank you to Commissioners Lorang and Clute, and also ODOT staff member Zach Bejet, I think I pronounced his name right, and our ops manager Parker Nelson for working hard to evaluate the two proposals that we received in response to our RFP for the owner's engineer and project manager for the bridge studies. The highest scoring firm was Parsons Transportation Group. We are in negotiations with that group now and hoping to have a contract for you to review at your next meeting. Might not, if the next meeting is on the 15th, it might not be then, it would be the one after that. But we're really excited about the firm's approach, the team they have working on the project. I really do think they're going to be right out of the gate, getting straight down to brass tacks, and we'll be having an accelerated timeline that I think is really exciting. We've been continuing work on the ED work plan, and we'll have a review for that in a hopefully the next meeting or maybe the one after. As you saw, we were finalizing our grant application questions and the contract agreement template. We're working on the final report for, can I help me with what is the name of our trail now? Did we have a name? We don't have a name yet. The Cascade Locks Trail. What I've been calling the new trail. We're working that the trail is complete. It's not open to the public yet, but the pro side work has been completed. They've finished their punch list items, and so we're trying to work on closing out that final report for that grant, while at the same time gathering the same team together, including the Forest Service staff, to plan our application for our next round of funding We had some discussions for a while of, what's the best strategy to go for the next round of funding. Do we want to go for another trail, sort of go by how many linear feet of trail can we achieve in the shortest period of time? But there's been a change to the recreational trails program recently that they are focusing on trailhead improvements that weren't formerly eligible. And so we have an opportunity in this next round of funding to take our new trail, the Clocks Trail, and truly finish it with a finished trailhead with parking area, restroom facility, and informational signage. And so I've been meeting with the Forest Service folks to try to get costs and make sure we have environmental clearances that we need, or do we need to change the project boundary map a little bit to make sure that works. And of course, Northwest Trail Alliance is invaluable partners in this. They would be providing, again, the match to some of this grant, at least in additional miles of trail work on that same trail to really make it a finished destination, something marketable, that something will be really usable and lessen the impact on the parking on Wyeth Road, because we would actually have an area that's permitted and ready to receive those parking and a restroom. I think is kind of critical for how popular this trail is going to be. And so we're working on that. So again, thanks to Commissioner Dodd for all of his work on that trail. It's really, really fantastic. We had our photographer out, what was that? Was it 2 weeks ago? Jeremiah and Richard Hallman is world-renowned sports photographer, and he's actually receiving an award in Brazil this week, I believe, for his surf photography. But Jeremiah took him all over town. We had him shoot some photos at the trail, and he ended up taking about 2,500 photos of Cascade Locks and local businesses and friendly faces and people serving beers, and just a really, really great suite of images that we have. And so thank you to Jeremiah for powering that out. It was a long, long day. It was definitely like a 14-hour day, I think, but Richard was super jazzed about it, and he fell in love with our town while he was out here. And he will be back to take some more images in spring. So that's all, run-on sentence about how awesome everything is with our new trail, spurring other good things. And then, again, thanks for sending us to the PMWA conference. It was great to be able to go with Commissioner Peterson and Commissioner Clute, and that is such a fabulous organization, and always really neat to be able to talk to folks who are modeling now the successes that we want to replicate later. I had just a really wonderful conversation with the Port of Kalama folks on some of the things that they have done that are really relevant to what we're trying to do. And it was really great to be able to speak briefly with the executive director. The whole presentation was fabulous. And so it's been a whirlwind. The past 2 weeks have been kind of crazy, but a lot going on.
I think we'd like to take a minute before we move around to talk about potentially rescheduling next week's meeting. I'm still finding my way a little bit on when it makes sense to cancel a meeting or when it makes sense to reschedule one. I had this to do all over again. I probably would have sent us to PNWA and canceled this meeting and rolled it into the next one. But I'll learn those things as we go along. But what we have now is a meeting scheduled for next week. That would mean that we would basically start the agenda and the packet tomorrow, which is usually when we start, right? So I don't know that we have had enough time in the last 2 weeks to get work done to create an agenda for you guys now that has enough meat to it to get business done. Also happens to be that Carrie Ann was out next week. So we can't meet. Okay. It might make sense from a staff standpoint for us to get this work done for you guys to move to the 22nd. That would next week, so we would have
And it's voted by indigenous people state. It's sort of.
Even a little bit tougher. So if the commission would like to and has the availability to, staff can certainly benefit from an extra week's worth of time to get stuff ready for you guys.
Well, I definitely appreciate, not working because in putting these meetings together and staff challenges, just throw this out. I'm available. So I have forum without me.
On the 22nd.
If we have a business trip, then I'll be.
We could also, I don't want to cancel the next meeting. We've got some stuff and then we're trying to get done. Yeah, if we do, I'd rather move it to the 20s. January, just go ahead and do it on the 15th, knowing that it's gonna be a pretty light agenda.
I might have to, if it's on the 22nd, I'm meeting at 2 AM on the 23rd.
Oh, boy.
To get to the airport. So, you have to just call in instead of coming in, just because I'm gonna have last minute preparations and stuff.
Would the 21st be out of the?
I'm sorry. Got it. We got
That's the city council.
we gotta be a little bit.
Yeah.
careful.
Yeah, okay.
Or consider, you can put out 1 week and a different day, so.
We could do that, we run into some issues with the availability of this room. And I don't know that we have a clear idea of when it's available and when it's not.
I did confirm with Carrie earlier today that the 22nd is available, but the other days are not. Yeah.
Be done in 4.
Yeah, we can do house 3. Do house 3,
We'll double check on that.
yeah.
So maybe we're going to see, but I'm gonna do that.
But yeah, we can do it on the 22nd. You also have any other
I'm unavailable after that too, because I'll be traveling
traveling?
23rd.
Pretty much free though.
That's bad for me.
But we can push to try to get to what we can get accomplished on to the 15th. And do that meeting. It's gonna be fairly minimal. It's gonna be a bit of a rush. It's quite possible that I'll be adding things, and this isn't waiting for doing it on set your expectation. That I could quite possibly be adding things to the agenda the day of the meeting. Right now, we're trying to get a contract.
Instead of the packet.
Yeah, instead of in the packet, like we're trying to get a contract done with Parsons that could probably, that's likely would come Tuesday if we're lucky. So,
And then tell me what's.
and then Tommy doesn't have time, so that one's probably pushed to the next meeting.
I'm open for a Monday meeting.
Monday's city council, so we're going to do it here. We could potentially do it in house 3.
Okay.
Monday the 21st. This house 3 is what, 3 or?
House 3 appears to be open on the 21st.
I can still do the 22nd.
I mean, I don't take 30 seconds. This is my fault. I shouldn't have done this, but I was trying to get PNWA in there. Let's go back. For this.
I'm trying to bring it up.
They're out. I'm going to just be together and then back. I learned something. But we'll handle it different before, but. If we move one, we should move, it doesn't make sense. That's my focus.
Yeah, house 3 is up.
So how's first open on the Monday, the 23rd? It's not good. They still have a whole week. Okay.
He's a free bird.
Good. So, house painted.
Yeah.
Sounds like what our options now are the 15th. And we get everybody. The 21st, and we get everybody but 10. 22nd, and we get everybody but 10 in care.
I'll be here for the 22nd.
Well, we're on the 21st.
Yeah.
Almost. 21st, 23rd.
Mhm.
And Ken, we won't have.
Check to see if
Yes. Yeah, I just checked it.
I mean, said it was.
Oh, it's
It's not. The 21st is city
First is Thursday. 21st.
on Monday.
Sandwich you? Yeah.
Actually, they might not. They might not have a city council.
They do, they're doing.
Is it?
Letter out, state all of it. Discussion.
Oh, it's a special meeting. Okay, that's right. Okay, I did see that.
Um,
Right.
Okay, right. October 20. Alrighty. Ready for commissioner comments now, or are we still?
Commissioner comments?
Commissioner comments. Yeah, I guess I'll start with you this time.
Yeah, thank you again for all the work you've been doing to trying to manage your buildings for tenants. Appreciate all that. Thank you for all your help with all that grant writing and submissions of that. And for keeping it organized. Parker, for being out here to maintaining facilities. And I'm saying, you know, I'm just really proud to take people around and show them. Yeah. And, I don't have much other than to say. So much appreciation.
Still you tour to schedule that.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Take you up on that.
I never got a tour.
Still you tour, let's take you up on it.
Yeah.
So getting a
Well, we'll just go down the line. Rob?
Yeah, it was actually a very eventful last 2 weeks. Been to 2 or 3 different conferences and got a tour of the Dallas Dam and go inside the generator room and see the local impact with all the jobs there and just how much trade that goes through there, which PWA conference really highlights how this area, you know, provides trade to the rest of the world and vice versa. A lot of interesting topics at the conference. They cover a lot of emergency management, you know, simulations of the Cascadia subduction zone and all that. It's actually pretty relevant topic to talk about because September is usually an earthquake month, earthquake season. Mount Adams recently had 6 big earthquakes that are unusual there, so it's kind of a surreal experience for that. Oregon Ports Association in Dallas was another interesting one. One of the things they talked about is how to raise more revenue for the roads and how to approach, you know, EV cars and the lack of gas tax and whether tolling is an option there. So they're kind of going back and forth with that. Also went to the museum fundraiser, which was fun, and got to go on the stern wheeler and just really appreciate where we live out here and all the local jobs that are provided. Another interesting development tomorrow, the nonprofit Bush Community Club is getting awarded purple air sensor from the EPA.
cool.
So a lot of our first official stuff. AQI sensor in town. The closest one is over in Stevenson, so we'll have more real-time information that supplies what the and
That's
also
great.
other stuff.
We'll put that on the board website, we'll spit out information that we can. put-
Yeah, I'll give you some info. I'll have the sensor set up tomorrow. I'll give you the official info.
That's awesome.
After the meeting. And then hope to get maybe another one on the east side of town because, you know, sometimes there's different smoke on the west side of town versus the other. But the first sensor is planning to go on the maintenance building on the corner. Has to get like a 270-degree airflow on there. So. Let's see, at the PWA conference, gonna meet with our
Steam
design, really interesting there. Is for kind of a lot and think about suggestions for next year about having a, you know, a lecture on tourism, or something like that to help represent.
Think about it.
More. Most of the lectures were on trade, like grain and agricultural and environmental impact. So it'd be nice to include some small town economics in there on a little side lecture or something. A big thank you to, all of Tracker staff. Thank you, Terry, Ann, for getting everything organized for the conferences, getting hotel rooms booked and all that stuff. And, Genevieve for all your grant work and just, you know, getting the wheels turning, and Jeremiah making all the chaos come together. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I had a chance to meet with her. Photos, I hope you have the good stuff.
Yeah.
Social media and it's
Really cool stuff.
yeah. Yeah, he showed me some of the photos he showed me. Ooh, those are really cool. So hopefully some really good stuff for our tourism, for our social media, as well as for anything that we have that we need from a business building standpoint for Cascade Locks. I didn't attend any of the conferences, but it sounds like they were all well attended. Awesome. It sounds like there was a lot of really great relationships and conversations happening, so it's great. Also attended the Historical Museum fundraiser. Boy, that was super fun. And so many candidates. Great, yeah, you heard that was a great pyro editor too. That's good stuff. And then I mention every time. It's if it's half as successful as I hope it could be, it's going to mean a lot of things for small businesses and local entrepreneurs, and I'm really excited and humbled by that. So thanks to everyone for putting it together. Thanks for everyone for proving it. It's gonna hopefully be the beginning of a lot of good stuff that we can do for this community. And for that, just thanks to everyone.
I also was fortunate enough to be able to attend the PNWA Waterway Association Conference. Echoing Rom's sentiments that there was a lot of cool, interesting topics discussed. I liked learning about the fisheries, about electricity. Fun topic. This guy who ran an electric company was very passionate about electricity and where it comes from. So I'm just, huh?
You have the authority to power.
He was a very special, he was very cold, natural man.
But you have the authority.
Yeah. So yeah, that was fun. I look forward to next year's the Bridge of the Gods party, or as I'm calling it for short, the Bob party. We have another meeting. We had a meeting recently, as we talked about and voted on today. But we need to really look at setting a date. So if you guys have any input on that as well, please feel free to pass your suggestions our way. I think it's probably what we really need to do at the next meeting on November 7th. So, but the original bridge was opened in October, like end of October of 2026. It was October 27th. Was it the 31st? Okay. Which is definitely not when we want to do a bog party. So, thinking sometime like mid to late September. Likely. So if you guys have any other solutions to that or ideas, let me know. I did get a chance to go to WAM and meet with them while I was out or the last weekend. So had a chance to talk about their involvement with it and their interest. And I haven't presented this to the bog committee yet. So
We got our and you had multiple airplanes flying.
you can say that the WAM point of contact did say that if somebody flew under the Bridge of the Gods, it would probably be their last time.
Yeah.
Doing pretty much everything. I was like, unless we can get Red Bull to reply to us and get the Red Bull Air Force. I did send some feelers out to a couple of bungee jumping companies too, just to see if it is as a feasibility study to see if we can possibly have that as part of our bridge action. I haven't heard responses yet, but. So I still look forward to for that party. And then the magical history tour. It was pretty well attended. We were getting a little concerned about ticket sales, but a lot of people stepped up at the last minute. So cool. Ended up being a really good time. And yes, thank you to everyone who does everything here.
One quick thing to tag on, since I know you want to finish, what you want to wrap up away. A couple of things regarding the trails that Genevieve was touching on. So yes, the trail phase 1 is complete. Fire closure has it where half the trail is off limits. So White Road is the fire closure. So that's why it hasn't officially. Will be so soft open since fire closure. This, which is soft closure meaning soft opening means that people that know will be riding trail and starting to get out there. But with the grand opening in May, big huge opening, all kinds of different people, and the ribbon cutting, all this will be a celebration. I have a whole schedule of different key events that I'll share with you guys that we will hammer it out via the Northwest Airlines. The other thing that's coming up soon is the Veterans Day ride. Coming up soon on Veterans Day on Monday. So that'll be happening, and it's a part of my personal initiative to create those events that are mountain biking, really bring it to the Cascade Lock. Anticipation of what we're doing.
Yeah, Mount students on the front of the mountain, right? Yeah.
Available for your brainstorming.
I'll just mention, I have things about the last couple of weeks, last month or so, in chauffeuring my wife a lot back and forth because she's unable to drive as she just had her knee replaced. And she is now officially able to hobble. So, no matter if you hear me say that, he's not happy with it. But I did just go and send it. This is a public reality.
We'll get it out of the minutes, so that's all we can do.
And you know, still, like I said, hobbling a bit. She's not very happy about me saying that. Pirates, the 4-hour was awesome. We had a great time. Had some great costumes. Albert he was showing off his pirate's booty. So
Thanks.
yeah,
It really did.
right. I would like to be to some of these the PNWA conference especially, but I was decided it was better that I didn't. I touted about it all day though. She felt good that I decided to stay home and not go to the conference and stay and help her a bit. That's it. I touted, so I lost points on that one. Other than that, we we did our evaluation for the grant award or for the award for
The bridge study.
bridge project. I will say, I read it, and that's probably more reading than I've done in a while, back and forth, and I'll say either one of the organizations would have done
Great.
companies would have done a fantastic job. I mean, they were both really high caliber and I think we did a good job. For the other people who were working on it, got promoted up, all that. Yeah, so a lot of good discussion about the awards and. But that was about it. I hope to be participating more as like I said, Deb's done one. Oh, here I go talking about her again. Yeah, one more surgery would be good as you know. Looking forward to her being able to hike some this spring, hopefully. But anyway, that's about all I have. And once again, thank you to the staff, and you're doing a great job. It's not an easy task on some of the things that we're trying to do, and appreciate you guys. So and all of you as well, as far as the level of your participation, going to conferences and everything you're taking on. Really appreciate it. Well, if there's nothing else to come before the commission, I will adjourn us. Thanks for attending.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, everyone.